you ever ask yourself, or comment to yourself, or perhaps others, that something you heard just doesn't sound right? You may think that regularly in this video series. I do. And I think it is a symptom of the times we live in. We are living in a period when people, frequently unintentionally, but sometimes intentionally, conflate two or more separate topics, which then confuses the meaning of the topics they are discussing. My observation is that when this is done intentionally, it is done for the same reasons that people lie, intentionally say things that are known to be false. Now, there are many reasons people lie. Where I find lying and conflating to be similar is when the lie or the conflation is intentionally done for personal gain, or to get something they want, or to avoid the penalty of the truth. And I see the same similarity when the reason for the lie or the conflation is to manipulate or control others or control the situation. We unfortunately see all these reasons for both lying and conflating pretty regularly. Like I say, it appears to be a common symptom of our times and our culture. So common, in fact, that many of us no longer see the act of lying or conflating as a character flaw in our elected officials. Let's take a deeper look at conflation, which can be lying for the reasons stated above, but conflation can also be the result of simple neglect or lack of knowledge. Arguably, conflation can be seen as something less harmful and less sinister than lying frequently is, but don't feel too comfortable with that belief. Conflation does a lot of harm. In my Frankfurt School podcast, I point out that one of the potential causes of our growing rejection of science and scientists is that we, the people, have both unintentionally and intentionally conflated or allowed the conflation of science with engineering and mathematics, specifically statistics. Please listen to that other podcast. Conflation is the practice of treating two or more distinct concepts as if they were one. As I have said, it appears prevalent in almost all arenas of public discussion. But let's consider some examples to help prove the point. We hear people say, I'm in favor of DC statehood because I don't think that someone from outside the district should tell us how to educate our kids. This statement conflates federal education mandates for all the states with DC statehood. Another example. If this discussion is truly about innocent people being killed, which is a war crime, every reporter needs to be questioning Trump's refugee policy. This conflates a war crime with immigration and border policies. While in both these examples, the conflated topics have common intersections, the topics are completely different. Now, conflating topics is an easy trap to fall into when done inadvertently. But in all cases, inadvertent and advertent, unintentional and intentional, conflation has the potential to make any action or decision subject to condemnation for unassociated reasons, to prevent honest differences on specific topics due to the fusion of separate topics, to allow superficial or poorly considered conclusions to be drawn, and finally, to prevent meaningful progress as disparate topics are used to stymie or stalemate action in areas where we need action. A recent example of conflation a dear friend of mine shared on a social media application is a good example of both conflation and the potential for these impacts. In this shared post, the speaker, not my friend, explains how people tend to forget that a matriarchy has nothing to do with who holds power. Rather, the speaker asserts that a matriarchy is where the central focus of those in power is where and how are the children. When I heard the speaker, I liked what I heard, but knew that they were possibly intentionally conflating matriarchy with maternalism. So, maternalism is a social or political behavior focused on nurturing, protective care, empathy, and altruism. It is commendable. On the other hand, matriarchy is in fact a structure of government where primary power is held by women, especially mothers and female elders. There are historical examples of societies that were in fact matriarchies. But, like a patriarchy, matriarchy is in fact gender specific, while maternalism does not have to be. Now, I don't know why the speaker and my friend who shared the post conflated these two very different concepts. For this video, that is really unimportant. For me, it is simply another example of how sloppy or malevolent we have become in conflating different topics, with the result being that civil discourse, conversation between people with different ideas, and social progress suffer, because conflation has the potential to make any action or decision subject to condemnation for unassociated reasons, to prevent honest differences on specific topics due to the fusion of separate topics, to allow superficial or poorly considered conclusions to be drawn, and finally to prevent meaningful progress as topics are used to stymie or stalemate action in areas where we really need action.